Okay, in the rest of the lecture, I want to talk about three things about uncertainty. Firstly, what is uncertainty? The definition of it. And then methods for measuring and representing uncertainty. And lastly, methods for depicting uncertainty simultaneously with geographic data and interacting with those depictions in ways that are understandable, useful, and usable. Okay. So firstly, what is uncertainty? Let's just use a sentence to define it. Uncertainty broadly refers to incompleteness in knowledge, unknown or unknowable information about the discrepancy between an actual value and its representation. Okay, according to this definition, obviously uncertainty is not exclusive to geovisualization, to geography, or even to a specific type of science. It widely exists in science, in our daily life, it's everywhere. Okay, and uncertainty is expressed in many different forms, which means in order to address uncertainty, you can use a lot of indicators to address it, which also indicates that uncertainty is actually everywhere, right? In this slide and next two slides, I have provided a very huge table showing you different forms of uncertainty you can use to address uncertainty. Okay, for example, credibility. It's a part of data quality. It's used to address data quality, and credibility can also be used to address uncertainty. Reliability of information source. What does it mean? If you send a graduate student to the field to collect some geographic data, the reliability is relatively low. The credibility is relatively low. But if you don't do this, you don't send people to send a graduate student to the field to collect data. Instead of that, you just download data from USGS. Obviously, the credibility of USGS is much higher than a random graduate student, right? So the credibility here is pretty high when the information source is a is is an government agency. It's part of a government agency. So here you can say credibility can be used to address data quality and also can be used to address uncertainty, right? So here, each row here is a way, a form, or an aspect of of your data that can be used to address uncertainty. And here we have even more, right? And also error, random error, different types of errors, systematic error, vagueness, ambiguity, a lot of them. And here for this huge table, I'm not asking you to memorize them, but at least you should have an impression about each of them. Okay, what they are. And there are different types of uncertainty here. And when we're talking about uncertainty from different stages in a visualization pipeline, there are collection uncertainty, which means the uncertainty in the raw data, right? The raw data collected from the field. Derived uncertainty, it is the uncertainty in processing data. For example, when you have the raw data, usually you need to process it first before visualizing it, right? In this process, you will change the raw data. You will do analysis. There could be uncertainty produced in this process. And lastly, when you are trying to visualize the processed data, you should also be careful with uncertainty, because when you are using different methods to make a thematic map, choroplast map, gradual symbol map, or flow map, when you are using different methods, there could also be uncertainty. Okay, and if you want to 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 categorize uncertainty from another direction, you can also distinguish uncertainty as as uncertainty resulting from the process of conceptualizing a phenomenon, or uncertainty resulting from measurement based on that conceptualization. Conceptualization is pretty important because you can say that the second type of uncertainty is based on your concept or based on the result of your conceptualizing process, right? What is conceptualizing? For example, you can say this room is hot, is cold. Cold or hot, they are phenomena. They are not quantified. How hot is hot? How cold is cold? Now, we think it's just not accurate enough, hot and cold. We want to conceptualize this hot and cold, use a specific concept. So we create something called temperature. We create something called Celsius degree temperature. Okay, so if it is 30 Celsius degree is hot. If it is somewhere below 0 Celsius degree is called cold. This is conceptualizing, right? At the very beginning, we only know hot and cold, and we use a specific concept to more accurately describe, to address hot and cold. So you can see a Celsius temperature here is a very good result of conceptualizing because nowadays everybody use it, right? And it is pretty accurate and scientific, so the reliability is high. So the uncertainty from this conceptualizing of hot and cold is low. The uncertainty is low. So when you are measuring temperature, there could be uncertainty in this measurement, but it has less to do with the concept of Celsius degree because this conceptualizing process is successful. Celsius degree, this concept is reliable, but there could still be uncertainty in your measurement based on this concept of Celsius degree, right? Okay, how to map uncertainty. That's our primary task in geovisualization when we're talking about uncertainty, right? You have to visualize it. So we can use maps compared method, two maps or even more maps. One map for the variable you're interested in, another map or even more maps for uncertainties of the first map, right? Or you can use a more complex method. It's called maps combined, which means the variable you're interested in and the uncertainty of this variable, they are both portrayed in one map, right? And also you can also use interactive data exploration tools that allow easy manipulation of the display, both the attributes and its uncertainty. So basically, there are two types of methods, two maps or one map. The third method here, yeah, you can say it's the third method, but it's actually the same thing, right? Interactive data exploration, which means that you can easily manipulate maps and decide if you want to use one map to show the variable and uncertainty, or use multiple views or interactive methods to show two maps, one the variable, another one for the uncertainty. Okay, and visual variables we can use to address uncertainty. We have two groups. The first group is called intrinsic visual variables. They vary the existing object's appearance to show associated uncertainty. For example, varying the saturation of colored tones on choroplast map, right? But for intrinsic group, there is no new symbols. We should not say new visual variables because when you are using saturation to address the uncertainty, it's actually a new visual variable. We don't use new independent, or we don't use independent or other symbols to address uncertainty. But the second group here, extrinsic variables, which means that we add new geometric objects or symbols to highlight certain information. Okay, let's see some example here. Firstly, here is a map. Here is a map use intrinsic method to show uncertainty. Okay, this map depicts uncertainty in which parallel lines are split down their length, with one side black and other white. Okay, so here we can say the uncertainty here is portrayed as a binary variable. Is it reliable? Yes or no? Okay, the original map is a choroplast map using different hues and the grayscales to portray a specific variable. But beyond that, the author used what? Parallel lines to show uncertainty. If a specific enumeration unit is shaded by parallel lines, it means that the data there is not reliable. For example, we can see here a lot of small, I think, counties, they are shaded by parallel lines, which means that, okay, we have data there, but they are not reliable. But for other areas, for example, this peninsula of Florida, a lot of counties, they are not shaded by parallel lines, which means data there is reliable. So no independent or no new geometric variables or symbols are introduced here. So it's intrinsic variable. These parallel lines, they are intrinsic variables. Here is a good example of what? Extrinsic variables to address uncertainty. So here is a 3D geovisualization of a mountainous area. Obviously, the surface and the color, different hues on the surface, they are representing something. Not very sure the specific variable here, but you can say this surface is the main character. But beyond that, we can see there are a lot of small triangles with different hues. They are here to portray uncertainty. If it is dark blue or blue, it means that the uncertainty there is pretty high. If it is green or even yellow, then it means that the uncertainty there is low. Okay, so if you compare these two images, or say two visualizations, the top one does not introduce any independent geometric or new symbols to address uncertainty. At the bottom, right, triangles, obviously they're new. You don't need them if you don't need to address uncertainty in this visualization, right? And here, one more example. Here is a 3D geovisualization of something. Not sure the variable. I mean, not sure the variable here, but we can say that this figure on the top, it is using intrinsic variable to show uncertainty, right? We have a lot of spikes, right? The higher the spike, the higher the uncertainty, right? And at the bottom is for the same variable within the same area, but here we use a new symbol, which is a bar, to show uncertainty. So this is an example of extrinsic variable for addressing uncertainty. Okay, I'll just stop here and see you in the next video for uncertainty. Thank you.